And so, what did I do? According to her, I got feedback from her that made her feel comfortable signing with me, even though my contract was more than $40,000 less than the contract she was about to sign. Welcome to the Ryan Rice Show, where we talk about what we learned yesterday that we can apply today so that we can be better tomorrow. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. I locked up a new deal this week with a seller who is just about to sign an agreement with another company just like mine. And my contract was more than $40,000 cheaper, and the seller happily is working with my team and I. And I want to tell you why the seller pulled out with the other company, according to her. And I want to tell you exactly what I did that made her feel comfortable working with me and relay those learnings to you to ensure you can minimize your lost deals. Who am I? My name is Ryan Rice. I am a full-time real estate investor. I am in my fourth year doing this full-time. I did 40 real estate deals last year, and I share all of this stuff so that you can get the learnings without having to go through the hardships that I have. So I had been working with this seller for more than a year. She saw my TV commercial. I had spent a good amount of time with her on the phone. And earlier this year, we picked back up conversations because she had started to communicate she was ready to engage again. She was building a new construction house, wanted to get the ball rolling. When we were speaking previously, she just wasn't quite ready. And she texted me recently that she wanted to pursue next steps, which involved me coming out to meet her in person. And as a side note, she had a preference to meet in person for a transaction like this. She verbally told me that. And it's likely that if I was only virtual, I may not have gotten this deal. So I went out and I met her. We went through my process. And within the next week, I had a signed agreement. And I learned while talking with her and getting to know her that she was about to go through this journey with another company, but pulled out due to frustration, lack of trust. And due to that, I was able to get the deal. And so here's why she told me that she pulled out. Throughout the process with the other company, there were significant communication gaps, delays in communication, periods where she had to constantly feel like she was reaching out versus being reached out to. There were errors in the communication. And when she inquired on the errors, excuses were made as opposed to taking ownership and making it right. And the icing on the cake for her, in her own words, was when another error was made and she inquired on the error with the rep. And the rep communicated another excuse that made the rep just look careless and borderline irresponsible. And she told me after all of this had happened, she just couldn't trust them anymore. She didn't like the way that they, quote, did business. And for that reason, she couldn't see herself doing business with them. And look, real estate is a big deal. I always say it's not complicated, but it's complex. And so it's so important to have good systems and good processes to make sure that all of the right milestones are hit along the way without error or with error minimized. Now, here's the thing. I know one of the owners of that other company. And is the owner a bad human? No. But this is why it's so important that as business owners, we are laser focused on the client experience. And we're laser focused on teaching, training a team that knows how to deliver and knows the expectation. And also a team that knows what to do if mistakes are made. And here are the learnings I take from this situation that make me reflect on how I can ensure that I'm optimizing my business for my clients. One, it's okay when your team members make mistakes. It's okay when you make mistakes. But when it happens, the team must be trained, or you must be trained to take full ownership and to make it right. And a framework that has worked really well for me in terms of making it right is simply getting more emotional than the client is. For example, if a client is upset with something, calling the client and conveying even more emotion than the client has can help tame the situation. And so in this case, a team member made a mistake with a document, and it was a pretty important document at that. And the reason the team member gave the seller as for the reason that the rep made the mistake is that the rep was preoccupied when she sent the document. And so she made a mistake because her mind was somewhere else. Here is instead a reaction that may have garnered a little bit of a different response from the seller and may have even saved the deal. Imagine if the rep said something like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right. That's absolutely unacceptable. I can't believe I did that. This is a document where there is absolutely no room for error. I'm going to tell my boss right away about this. And frankly, I'm going to petition that he fires me because this is absolutely ridiculous and is absolutely unacceptable. Right? Real quick, as you guys know, I just recently started this podcast. If you could give it a rating with a quick tap of the thumb, that would mean the world to me. And even more importantly, it could help spread the word to a broader audience, which in turn could help change a life. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the show. So imagine the seller being on the other end of a response like that, right? Maybe the seller says something like, oh, okay, well, hold on. Maybe you don't need to be fired. Let's just focus on accuracy going forward. And the seller is the one to calm down as opposed to you trying to calm the seller down. And so bringing more emotion to the client or matching and exceeding the current emotion that the client has dwarfs the client's emotion, and I think can help de-escalate the situation. And that's a practice that has worked pretty well for me in the past. And if you don't do this, then what happens is a client could feel invalidated. They could feel like you're not understanding how upset this made them feel. And then they take action against the business that's hurtful. In this case, like not moving forward with a big deal. The second thing I take from this is just the importance of training, right? Had the team member been trained well, many of these mistakes may not have happened. And I'm not saying the team member was or wasn't trained well, but this situation makes me reflect on how important it is to make sure that my team is well trained. And then third, this is a perfect example how important trust is in the situation. And trust is built on so many different things during a real estate transaction. It could be the sales process and the customer feeling like you have their best interest in mind. It could be how frequently you communicate. And in this case, it could be just making sure to handle the process with accuracy. And if mistakes are made, making sure that you don't make them again and that you give the client enough comfort that you know that you messed up and that it's not going to happen again. So in this case, that company lost out on a deal because the seller just simply lost trust in the company's ability to execute. And so having that strong communication and the frequent communication with very little latency can help make the client feel understood and can help make sure you close these deals. And so what did I do? According to her, I got feedback from her that made her feel comfortable signing with me, even though my contract was more than $40,000 less than the contract she was about to sign. Well, the first thing, ever since she started talking with us over a year ago, all of the actions I took with her, I made her feel like they were in her best interest. And because they were, right? The entire time since the first time we spoke, I learned what it was that she wanted to accomplish, how she wanted to accomplish that. And I made sure that we picked an avenue that was going to accomplish what it was that she needed. And I think she felt that. The second thing that I did, I've worked very hard to develop processes and systems in my business that decrease the latency between communication. And so my team and I communicated very frequently. And when she communicated with us, we responded very quickly. And I cannot tell you enough how much feedback that we've gotten from all of our clients on how much they love, one, how often we communicate with them, and two, how frequent. Right? We get a ton of positive feedback on that. The third thing I did, up until that in-person appointment, every single thing I told her that I would do, or I told her that we would do, we delivered on. And this reinforced her belief and it raised her perception of the likelihood that we get her to where it is that she wanted to go. The fourth thing I did is I spent more than 3 hours with her during this in-person appointment. And I wanted her to know and feel that I wasn't just there to buy her property. I wasn't there for some sort of transactional experience. I was truly interested in understanding who she was and what it was that she wanted so that I could deliver on those things. And the fifth thing I did is I just showed her the gobs of proof I had that I could do what I say I would do. And one big part of this was I had a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, because we have a process around getting reviews and around making sure that our clients are treated the right way. And we had a Rolodex of people, and we still have that Rolodex of people who have left a really positive review about their experience with our company. And so I wanted to share this quick story in the event that it's helpful to hear a real life example on how a business lost out on a prospect and what you can do to prevent that from happening. And selfishly, I also put this together to document these learnings to ensure that I don't make any of those mistakes going forward with any of my deals. But I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Peace.